Hello class, we're back at the site, and today, well, you might be wondering, hey Mr. Cummings, why does it look like you're dressed to go to the beach? And the answer is, in a very real sense, I am at a beach. You see, this whole area of Texas used to be underwater, and you've probably heard a lot this summer of 24 about water problems in Edwards Aquifer, and I want to show you a little bit of how that aquifer was formed and the geology of what's underneath your feet here in Texas. So let's begin. Now, as we turn around, there we go, we can see the build site, and you see down here that I have a lot of white rock that has come out. Now, this is limestone, and this is what the Edwards Aquifer is made out of. So, very interesting. It kind of breaks up like powder. You can get it to come into very small rocks and such. But the interesting thing about limestone is that when it is laid down by nature, it lays down in layers. So hopefully you can see these. You can see how the layers kind of form on top of each other. Now, the reason that is because about 200 million years ago, this area of Texas used to be a lot lower, and all of a sudden was thrust up into the sky, and the Gulf of Mexico receded to approximately the present boundary that it is today. But for some time, it took steps where it was covered in water and then uncovered and then covered in water again. So these layers of limestone then began to be laid down. What is limestone? You're probably wondering about that, and let me show you. Over here on the table, my work table, I have what essentially is what limestone is made out of. Now, a little bit hard to see, but you can see that this is a bucket full of snails that I have collected. And if you take these snails and you simply crush them in your fingers, you end up with a fine powder. That fine powder is essentially what becomes limestone. So the more snails and clams and oysters and other shellfish that you have that get laid down and trapped inside of the sediments when the geology thrusts Texas up and it's no longer wet, they eventually get crushed by tectonic forces and create the layers of limestone that we see down below. All right, so this lime then eventually becomes one of the building blocks of the material called concrete, which is what I am using to form the piers that my shed is going to be sitting on. So I have a few of these piers in, and you can see the strings here. I'm laying out the geometry of making sure that these strings are at right angles to each other so that my house is what we in the building trades call square. But that is for another lesson.